I'll say, mijos, before, when I was younger, say 15 years even back, I would say, oh, I'm getting old. But now I'm old. I said, you got to realize that I'm not going to be here all the time. I try to say it in little ways, which
Right.
I don't really have to bring it out and say it out in the open. And then, oh, mom, don't talk that way. But, they got to realize, that that's life. And, and I pray that the day I do go, that they won't take it as hard as they did with their dad, because to have a death so close,
Mhm.
in your family, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
In that way, I
Yeah.
wish.
Um. Okay. So one last kind of
Hmm.
thing to talk about is, so this whole like thing I'm doing an interview is for this idea about mom art.
Hmm.
And mom art could mean a lot of different things. Some people
Hmm.
make art that's around a social issue for mothers.
Hmm.
Some people, as mothers, are making art. Um, some people think of motherhood as an art
Hmm.
form. Can you talk a little bit about trying to connect the idea of mom and art? I mean, just what comes to your head naturally. I mean,
Wait, wait, I don't.
there's no right or wrong answer, but just to comment on the phrase mom art, whatever comes to your head.
Um, Gosh, I guess because I'm old school, I think a mom. Well, like I tell, like Mark told me not too long ago that Celeste has a boyfriend, for example, and that he said, and I told him, well, that's fine. I mean, she's still young. She's got to have a boyfriend sooner or later. But I told him, I wish, I hope that she has never denied her that she's got two kids. To tell the guy, because he's never been married, he doesn't have no kids. I
Mm.
told him, so for Celeste, I said, if she goes out on a date, you tell her to take the kids so he can see them, that he knows that he's what he's getting into, you know. Because a lot of times, some moms will say, "Oh, I'm single," and then till later they'll tell the guy, and the guy will get upset. Well, you should have told me you had kids. Maybe I wouldn't date you. Maybe I would, you know. And Mark said, no, Mom, she did. He took her out to dinner, and I told Celeste, you have to take the kids, tell him that you got two kids. And she did, which I'm glad she did, because that's like denying your kids. And if a guy, if he asked her out and say, I'm not saying that they'll get married or whatever, but if he would want to or live with her, and then he would tell her, well, no, I don't want to because you have the two kids living with your parents. I want to be by myself with you, and that's not right. I mean, your kids are your kids, regardless. You
Mm.
know, to me, that's what being a mom. Your kids come first
Mm.
in any. I feel that way. You know that I mean, thank God I never got divorced. I had a good life with your grandpa. He was a good husband, and and I always knew I was going to marry him. He didn't know, but when I met him, I did. I think
Mm.
I already thought about it. I was still young. I was 17, 16 and a half. And I thought I would. And even if we dated other people in between, we always ended up together.
Mm.
And, and I always thought that's what I tell them in the support group. He didn't know I was going to marry him. Maybe he had his plans, but we did. I said, I know he dated other people and that's only normal. I mean, you can't expect, like some of them get mad because they're ex-girlfriends. I don't. I don't know who they are, a lot of them, but I mean, I know he did, you know. But like I tell him, he didn't know
How
that he
did
was
well?
gonna.
How did you know that?
I don't know.
Like what told you that?
Well,
Like
the
what?
first time I met him, I tell you it was because of his car, and he had a really nice. I think he had the nicest car here in Santa Paula for during that time. And I remember I saw that car, and we were talking to some girls that were from here, two girls that I didn't know at the time. They lived next door to Grandpa, like alley, like their backs to each other, the houses.
Mhm.
And then I remember I told them, whose car is that? And they said, oh, they said, they mentioned his name, but I didn't even get it. We were just talking. I said, oh my God, one of these days I bet you I'm going to get a ride in that car. I just said it. And then sure enough, maybe a month went by, and one day he was riding around with David and Margie. Margie was already married because she got married really young. You know, she was only 16. And then they stopped and they asked if I wanted to ride, and I said no, because I was with my sisters and my two cousins. And I said, oh, maybe later on. And I thought he was, believe it or not, your grandpa was kind of shy, you know.